I know you've recently moved, well, not maybe not recently, but you've moved schools.
Yeah.
How was that process, and what made you decide to move schools?
So the process was pretty smooth. It was relatively smooth. We had the only thing that wasn't smooth is dates between Balmoral and St Leonard's didn't really line up. So I ended up moving to St Leonard's a week before Balmoral actually finished the year. So I moved and I had my 3 week transition period. So then I got to figure out where all the classes was. I got to figure out how everything worked. I made some silly mistakes of we have PE, but they didn't tell you that you had to wear uniform or like you weren't going to a class and you had to go to this place. So it was just a trial and error process really of finding where everything is. And you'll find this as well in Bowie. There's a system for the naming of the rooms. Like we'll have, take for example, S2.13. So that's senior school building, floor 2, room 13.
Oh,
That's how it's like, it's kind of similar. Like they had like M12 or
yeah.
stuff like that. So eventually you figure out how to work it all. And it was kind of a joint effort, joint decision between me and my parents. And my parents hadn't always been happy with the way how Bowie taught their topics and stuff. And we went to their open day one day. I've always been against it. I was like, oh, I feel like I'll be out of place there. But I went there and I realized the opportunities there were probably better for me. So then we started the process of application and getting through in there. And eventually we got in, which is really good. And I spoke to another teacher. Do you remember a teacher in year 7 called Miss Douglas?
Yeah, I've heard of her, yeah.
Last year, she actually moved to teach at St Leonard's.
Right.
Which is funny. And even funnier than that, she's now my new homeroom teacher and maths teacher this year. And I was talking to her about why she left, and she had similar reasons to me. And she said she didn't like the way it was very similar. She didn't like the way how she had to teach the kids, and she wasn't comfortable with it.
Yeah. And in what ways does St. Leonard's start teaching differently? Is it because of the private school system where it's no longer like a government school, it doesn't have to do the government protocols and it does, or is there another reason?
I think the main reason is because at St Leonard's they don't offer VCE VM. It's you either have to do VCE or you got to do IB. So IB is a much more difficult course. However, it is a course that's acknowledged internationally. Unlike VCE, like I'm trying to work on studying overseas. VCE, trying to convert it to other countries' education systems. It's like a bunch of different conversions and extra tests and that. While IB, you get a score and then you can go to any school and go there.
Right. That's pretty cool. And IB stands for?
International Baccalaureate.
Right.
So, yeah, the international bit, pretty self-explanatory.
And is it like 99.9 or is it like a 1? Like, what's the scoring system? A, B?
I'm going to go off what I know because I don't do IB, but I have a friend who does. Each subject scored out of 7, and your entire grade counts on 3 different things at the end of the year. So your exam, an extended essay, and something else that you have to do in class. So it's all that. So it's a lot more stressful. But I believe you'll get scored out of 50 overall, but then it'll get converted to an ATAR, of which I think all IB students gets an ATAR above 90.
Yeah.
Because such little people do it, but it's so much more difficult that if you get anything above like a 30 out of 50, you'll get like a 90 ATAR or something.
Right, yeah. And the IB subjects, is it like very advanced mathematics, like English-wise, what sort of...
I'm not sure about a lot of subjects, but I know how advanced maths is and all the languages. So, you have foundation, general, methods, and specialist in VCE. General maths in IB is just a step above methods. And then advanced math is harder than specialist. So it's very high accelerated, and all the language course they expect like a very high prior knowledge to it. So it'd be like maybe it'll be quite harder than any regular language course in VCE, I believe.
Yeah. And what do you find the biggest kind of cultural differences between the public schools at Bowie and then the or public and private schools in general?
Mainly, I think all the students at private schools, they tend to take their schoolwork a bit more seriously. Typically, it'll be no one. I'm going to say this as a general statement. I don't think anyone would go to a private school just to end up going to TAFE unless their parents have forced them. I know one person who has, and he didn't really care the whole time. He just kind of cruised through.
Yeah.
But another one, possibly in private schools, everyone's a little bit more supportive of work, and like the baseline of expected work is higher. Like, say I got a B in something, which is a 70%. I'll go to my friends. I go, "Hey, I got a B," and they go, "Oh, that's not too good." And everyone will be like, "Oh, I got like an 85. I got a 90." A lot of classes will be like that, where most students are getting above 80%, and you'll feel like you need to work harder to get there.
Yeah. So you kind of surround yourselves with a high level of work ethic
Yes.
that pushes you to, I guess, excel in your own capabilities.
Yeah. Like I've had to do that for methods. I started off the year really badly. I was getting like 50% in a test. And then throughout the year, I ended up getting a very good regime of if I didn't finish it, I'd go home, I finished it straight away. And I'd be getting 70s to 80s. I even got like a 95 at one point on a test. So I did push myself, and it did pay off in the end.
Pay off, yeah. With the private school, how much different is the actual kind of land or the kind of school grounds versus Bowie? And I believe it's from prep to year 12.
Yeah.
So is there a huge crowd of people?
I'll correct you a little bit. It's actually from ELC to year 12, so it's even wider of a gap. So it's a pretty big area, but compared to other schools I've seen that have the same range, like Caulfield Grammar and the Knox School and Mentone and Haileybury, it's relatively small compared to those kind of schools. So I think we have somewhere around 2,000 students across the whole place, which compared to other schools, that's not a huge amount. But there's main building. There's an ELC building. There's a prep to year 4 building. There's a year 5 and 6 building. There is then a middle school building, which is years 7 to 9, which also includes the science buildings in there. Then there's senior school, years 10 to 12, but also there's music building as well, which is really good, which I like to see. And then there's another building called Merton, which is only for year 12s. And on the top floor is a dedicated exam space.
The IB is in the same like kind of senior.
Yeah, they share classrooms, but it's just the topics they cover are a bit different.
Yeah, definitely. And how do you find the clubs versus the ones in Bowie?
There's definitely not as many, and more people. I think more people would rather just stick around with their friends and just talk than go to clubs. Like, I used to be very big in clubs, but that was mainly because I could get other people to come along with me, and I'd meet new people through there. It was really good. But the club selection here is pretty limited. Most of the clubs are actually more like subject helps, that you'll have maths help on a Thursday. They changed it. In a Tuesday morning, you'll have music help on a Thursday lunchtime. A lot of the stuff that happens, for me, I have my lunchtime, two of my lunchtimes taken up by some music stuff, which is really good. And I have 2 bands before school as well.
Yeah.
So it's pretty full on, yeah.
Yeah. How long have you been playing in those bands?
In those bands, I started on one of the before school ones pretty soon after I got to St. Leonard's. And then over time, I've picked up a bunch of them. So now I've been brought up, I'm currently in 4 different bands at school, across a range of genres. I'm in two jazz bands. One of them is actually a competition band, which will be going to Mount Gambier in May.
Right.
There's a contemporary rock band as well, and then I'm also in choir, which I chose to do as my teacher told me it would help me in my music performance class.
Must be pretty interesting playing on all these different bands for these different like bandmates or like fellow musicians. And a lot of people, or at least the few musicians that I know, a lot of them kind of try to be loyal to like one band. They have struggles like staying together, not breaking up. Like one person doesn't want to do any music or someone else wants to move on somewhere else in their life with study or work.
Yeah.
How do you find balancing all these different bands and playing between all of them?
It gets a bit of a struggle sometimes. Like some bands are a bit easier than others. For me, I'd say the rock band is the easiest one for me. That's the kind of band where I can learn something just from listening to it. Say we're playing like Seven Nation Army, for example. I know the line already, so I can show up. I don't have to look at anything and they go, okay, we're playing Seven Nation Army, and I'll just play through it. I find that pretty easy for me. But then there's some other bands like the jazz band, which is the competition one. I have to do so much practice for that.
So much.
It's very difficult, but it does push me to do more. The other jazz band is a improv one, so I'll learn just chords and I'll make up stuff over that. And then the choir one, I haven't really worked on rehearsing for that one, but I think going into this year, I'm probably gonna leave one or two of them just as I can focus more on some other stuff.
How was your year 11? Because that's like your first big year for like senior studies, usually like with VC and stuff. How did you find that at St. Leonard's?
Coming back to term one, the first full term of VC was pretty hard hitting. Like I hadn't realized how much extra work you had to do on everything. So I was trying to keep up with everyone, but everyone already knew what to do. It was a little bit of a struggle, but eventually I did get the hang of it. And you'd be at home and you'd still adapt into your normal like year 9, year 10. Like, oh, I'll get home. I finished all my work already. I'll just go out. You can't do that. You have to keep doing extra stuff. And as in year 12, it'll be the same, but even more. I mean, you're doing less subjects, but it's still just more work.